course, that's what you always say. All right. My dad said this is the smallest workbench on YouTube. And you know what? F you, Dale. Hey guys, thought I'd have you join in on me. Yep, it's already taken apart. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why did you just start recording after you have this whole thing torn apart? Well, I wasn't going to record, but then I decided that I'm going to do a full replacement of the cylinder and piston, plus other bits and pieces, and thought I'd bring you along, show you the inside of a little Craftsman saw. So this one ended up having basically no compression. When I took this apart, it had a bunch of carbon at the top, and a lot of scoring at the top of the piston and the cylinder, and the ring was almost completely chewed through. I tried doing a little bit of honing, obviously no success. I wasn't going to do much with it, but then I found this little kit. It comes with the cylinder, piston, fuel line, primer bulb, things like that. So what I'm going to do off camera is just get these fuel lines done real fast. But I was going to have you join me. I'm going to do a little bit of experimentation in porting. So the first thing I'm going to do is a little muffler mod. So you have this here. I'll show you the back. So this is where the exhaust comes out through, and you'll see a couple of little holes, and that's the flow. That's basically the only flow that goes through here. But what I'm going to do is, because we have the spark arrestor screen, and one of the laws is that you have to have a spark arrestor screen with any exhaust coming out, or else it's illegal to run. I'm going to open up behind the spark arrestor, so it's more of a straight through shot. Should get that exhaust coming through quite a bit, be a little bit louder. And then what I'm going to do is, on this side, just do a very, very small amount of porting. What porting is opening up some of that cylinder to allow more air and fuel mix to go through. What I'm going to do is a little bit of filing of just some of the edges on the intake and the porting. I'm not going to take a Dremel or anything. Again, that's probably going to be a little off camera, but I'll show you the end results. And ideally, this is going to be kind of a fun saw to see if we can kind of, you know, have a little fun and screwing around with the cylinder and everything and getting back. I've had this sitting for a very long time, just because it had no compression and I had no interest on really working on it. So I finally decided to tear it apart, and I mean, here we are. So hopefully we can get this thing back, make it a little bit louder, make it a little bit faster, and have some fun with it. So let me get those fuel lines in, and then I'll have you guys join me on doing the muffler and kind of putting all this back together. So yeah. Also, I just picked this up today. It's a 20-gallon compressor. And what we're going to do with this is, I have a couple components that I want to get. I want to get a little spray gun for painting, and I think I'm going to try my hand at that. And also I have a little nail gun for projects and everything. But I also have this that we just picked up. It's a little drill press. A little drill press. So this might be getting some action in terms of some woodwork projects I have, but also for some of the metal stuff too. So you might see that more, but we picked up some tools. So the shop's kind of slowly coming together. So I just need to find some homes for these, but wanted to show those off. I talked about it before, a little project of possibly spray painting my next saw. So this might be in the works. So we got this, very excited to use it. Probably start getting the gun and everything and doing a little bit of learning on that. So I want to show you guys that. All right, so as you can see, new lines, primer bulb. I have this out. I started running a file. I started running a file through like the intake and the exhaust, just to clear out any sort of like burr or anything that could, you know, just help airflow. They say that's sort of like a really mild porting that you can do. Again, I'm not doing like legit porting. I think the big thing I'm going to do is the muffler modification, which we're going to be doing next, but I'm pretty sure that that's as good as I want to get it. All right, so we're back. Got the fuel line in. Let's get this into there and start working on that. All right, let me get you set up. I used to have the thing that goes on this tube, so you can kind of pinpoint where you want to put it, because there's like little grooves in here. You're supposed to put the RTV. I will say it's really sweet the very first time you use it, and then you have to clean it out, which is next to impossible, and then you lose it. It's a guarantee you'll lose it. So then you're doing this big thing here. Look at that. See if I can bust her open again. So you have this big thing here that you're supposed to be putting all the stuff out, so yeah, this ain't gonna be long for this world. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I got a brand new cylinder head and a piston. What we need to do is get the piston onto here and get the cylinder head on. Let me show you that. I have a new wrist pin as well. See if it will fit. Here it is. Feels pretty good. I bought it used last year, and it just wasn't running right. And I'll show you with this old one. It turns out that there was a ton of carbon on it. So it started up and ran okay for like maybe 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden got really, really bad. Turns out there was just a ton of carbon on the top. Must have got loose, completely fried up the cylinder, scratched up the exhaust side, which usually is how it goes. It has one ring on it, so it died instantly. I tried doing some honing and stuff, and complete waste, didn't work. I go looking around and I found this whole kit with fuel line and gaskets and everything for 30 bucks. It was like 33 bucks. So decided just to swap it out. Probably have too much money in this saw, but who knows? I was gonna screw around with the exhaust and do a little porting. I kind of cleaned up the exhaust here and the intake with just a little file, nothing crazy. It's basically just to get it kind of running. Who knows, maybe we sell it, maybe we hang on to it, I don't know. We'll see. All right, the first thing we're gonna put on is we have these little retainer clips. We're gonna put it on the right side here. That way we don't have to put it on while it's on the saw. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this. We're going to try to take some notes here, because this is the exact technique we're going to have to use when it's on the saw. Okay, so then what we want to do, make sure you guys get a good angle here. See if we can put that into the clip there. Push that, make sure that's in all the way. See how that looks. It's okay. This is how that wrist pin is going to go in. Looks good to me. Alright. I'm giving you guys quality view here. I don't think I'm going to be able to see much. So this should be at least entertaining. Into there. Now my goal is to not lose this damn thing. So let's see what happens. And remember, you guys got the view here, so that's where it's going to be difficult. Just can't really get the nose in there all that deep. Yeah. See if we can catch more in the middle of it here. Where the heck did it go? What? I wanted it down there. Let's see if we can scoop it out. I think we almost got it. See if we can push it in now. Let's take a look. See if you can see in there. There's that one. That looks pretty good. Let's take it to the other one here. And then there's this one. Looks good. Okay. Let's get some gasket maker on here and then get this head bolted on. First thing I need to do is put the intake mount on. So let's get that situated and then we'll get some sealant on there and throw this head on, man. Cool. Wasn't too bad. All right, so what I'm gonna do, spray a little card clean in this little area. We're going to put the maker and an applier. All right. So what we're going to do is apply a little bit. So we have these grooves in here. See if you can see them. See these little lines? You fill that in, and then when it squishes down, fills in and creates a little air gap. Or not an air gap, creates the gasket itself. So we don't want to apply too much because I don't want it to go into the cylinder, but I do want it to seal. So a little ridge here because the other side is completely flat. So just as long as it's in that crevice, then we're good. Obviously, these crank sills too, we're going to want to kind of get a nice little glob on top of those. Do is I have this, pour a little bit of oil in it, take my finger, and this doesn't need to be covered or anything. Just make sure we don't put any little scratches in there that don't need to be there. Right up here. Okay, just enough. Nothing crazy. Now see if we can do this without losing these little transfer covers. Okay, and then I want to make sure that that kind of, oh, and there goes one, and probably the other one. Okay. Here is where the fun is, huh? All right, see if that holds. Okay. That's good. I think we got her. All right. Let's find these bolts. Crank it down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And then these are just going to be tightened down a little bit. We're going to have to come back probably about half an hour, and I'll give them a good crank down. They're pretty tight when I took them out. Okay. So very smooth, so that's good. What I'm going to do, since I have all this fuel line ready to go, let's throw back on the carburetor and all these little pieces. All right, start throwing her back on. What I need to do is trim this one up. I want that. So this is just a fuel line. And I'm going to give it, since we have a bunch of room here, I'm going to give it some extra room, just in case we need to get back in here at all. So that is how that's supposed to go in. We have this little throttle. I believe this is how this is supposed to go. That looks good, huh? Right, there's just a little insert over here that goes into. I have an air filter for it too, so see. Well, let's get a new gasket. I have a new gasket. Let me pull that out before we start getting too comfortable. Does it even have a gasket? That sure doesn't look like it. No? Maybe not. Okay. Must be for a better, more expensive engine. Okay. I remember. Nope, I guess not. Oh no, this is supposed to go in here. I was about to say. It's going in the right way. And that should be pulling into the carb. That is throttle. Let's see if we can get these on. Cool. So that's in. That works. Sweet. Alright, now I have a new air filter. Boom. Just a smidge big, huh? Welcome to the world of eBay. Almost forgot to show you guys. So here's the piston cylinder that was in there, or cylinder. All right, here's the piston and the cylinder that was in there. This is after I worked it a bit. I tried sanding this down. As you can see, this thing was super scored up. I even tried to oil it up to see if it'd hold, but if you look, that thing wasn't holding anything. And it was even worse on the inside here. See if I can even show you. See, there's a bunch of ridges right by the exhaust there. This thing was completely covered with carbon on the inside, so it must have just let loose, and as you can see, the head's still pretty carboned up. Just went through the exhaust, tore it all up. Again, you buy used stuff, you don't know what they did to it before. They probably had it sit for a really long time. That's why it still ran okay when I first started it. But then I'm gunning it and everything, and it was probably just completely clogged with carbon. And it just had no chance. So yeah, this thing's done. I don't even know. I was gonna see if we can save it and try to screw with it and stuff, but it's just gonna go in the trash bin. There's no use for it. This one on this saw is perfect, so we're all good there. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys what happened. What ended up happening is you'll hear it. I didn't have a recording of it, but you'll pull on it and it sounds, you can hear the air going, you go, and the air is actually going right past the piston. And if you ever got it running, you would just have gas and air shooting out of your carburetor if you took off your air filter. And it was all, the air filter was all black, like where the intake was. So you could tell that those are usually your key signs. And obviously, like, you can't rev it too high; it just bounces. No matter what you do, you could, richen it up or whatever, and you just can't get it. Again, that's carbon issues. These old stuff, you're going to run into that. Either take it all apart, do it right, or just go easy on it when you first get it. Go easy. Try not to rev it too much. Let it idle to break it all up slowly. But you'll want to take that spark plug out and just take a look. If it is completely black in there, then you got to know that if you run that thing hot, it's going to lose it all real fast, and you're going to, you have potential of blowing out a cylinder just like this. So just be mindful. And yeah, I want to show you guys before we move on. All right, we're back. Let's open up this and get it on that. All right, what we're going to do is I opened up the top here. You see these things? Those are blocking the exhaust gas. They're making it go around to these openings. I'm gonna take this drill bit and try to poke a couple holes in it, just to try to open it up a little bit. Is this too bright for you guys? So that's how she looks. A couple of holes in there, now it goes straight through. The reason why I wanted to do that is because I still want the spark arrestor covering it, or else it's considered illegal to run. So let me clean this up real fast. All right, let's see if I can even get a good look here. I believe it goes on this way. Okay. I'm just gonna get them Craftsman tight here, nothing crazy. Spark arrestor, so what this does, all two strokes have it, because usually it's the exhaust port's usually so rich, because there's always going to be a little bit of raw fuel in there, is it will shoot fire, like a little fireball out, especially when you rev it. And if you don't have that little screen there, it's called spark arrestor, is that it has the potential of catching anything in front of it on fire. And as you can imagine with chainsaws, cutting wood and dry brush and everything, that's a pretty high potential. So by law, you have to have a spark arrestor on your muffler. And that includes if you're gonna make the modifications where there's a hole coming out to kind of increase flow. You have to have a spark arrestor if you want to do it out in public. So that's why my modification was there. It's to open it up a little bit where the spark arrestor was, to keep the saw legal, but also opening it up, the flow a little bit. This saw is just to get running and kind of have some fun with. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, so I don't wanna go overboard on modifications, but I definitely wanted to try some things and see what it does. So let me get her buttoned back up, and then we can see about getting some gas in it and see if it fires up. Well, here it goes. First time firing it up, so I don't know what's gonna happen. So let's see if all this stuff works. Has a nice idle. It's a new cylinder. I don't want to rev it up too much. I mean, it's still running pretty rich, but what I want it to do is really get warm. We're going to shut her down, let her cool down, do it again. We're going to let this thing break in. It has beautiful compression right now. I have it really rich. It's going to be like that until it really starts breaking in, and then we can start leaning her out. But right now it sounds really, really good. So we're just going to let her really warm up, maybe rev it a few times, but it's not going to be high revs. I'm not going to really tune up the high. Right now it's running really rich, which is good. We want to make sure that we have a lot of oil in that cylinder. So make sure she gets hot. Muffler sounds good and throaty, so I think we're looking good. All right, something I was running into, I didn't catch it on camera, but while this was going with this up and with it revving, it would actually turn off the engine because it would push this down. Looking at it, that's making some serious contact with the plastic, and this thing wiggles around a lot. What I think's happening is that the intake mount is a little bit higher on this cylinder than the stock one, which brings that housing up just a smidge, and this plastic is pushing down on that kill switch. The fix is I'm just going to take this off, file down that plastic a little bit so now there's more of a gap, and that should be fine. I think we're just going to have to live with this shaking as it runs. It's not going to come out or anything, but just something to kind of note when you're doing one of these little swaps is that the angle of the cylinder where the intake goes on could be a little wonky with the plastic. So let me take that off, file it down, and see if it helps us out. All right, now it looks a lot better. Has much more room. Let me see if I can tighten this chain up a little bit more, but this is like a brand new chain on this. Let me see if I can get in here. Yeah, I don't even think this thing needs a sharp end, so what I'm gonna do is just kind of go at it with this. If it does need to be sharpened, like after, I don't know, that thing feels pretty sharp, but I think this thing's ready for a test cut. After another cycle, what I'm gonna do is run it again probably tomorrow, let it warm up, cool down again. Again, we want that piston to kind of break in a little bit, but man, it already felt like it had some serious power to it. So I think this thing, with those little modifications, I think that muffler mod was a huge one. And then I wouldn't even call it porting. It was more like cleaning up the ports and the transfers with a little file. But I think it really got me motivated. I think the next saw I'm gonna do, I'm gonna really try my hand at opening up the intake and kind of cleaning up the sides of the exhaust port and see if we can kind of hot rod a saw a little bit, man. This is fun. So we'll see how this thing cuts. was it. Craftsman ran good. I had to richen the high a little bit, which is totally fine. You don't really know that till you start getting in wood, but she ran good. Ran good for a Craftsman. Seemed like everything's working right. You know, runs and idles just fine. So I think we're gonna call it. I think I might just post it and just sell it. I have no use for it. As you can see, my collection's getting pretty steep out over there. And that 350 was mean today, man. The power on that has been figured out. And whew, that thing, you saw those pieces flying. That was a very, very powerful experience behind that. So that's going to be one of my favorite things to operate, is at 350. I still have the 113 I need to tune up to, but the Craftsman, the 330, just fine. I'm hanging on to those. I like those saws. And then I have Super XL and the Super Easy restoration projects. I'm thinking I'm just going to make those kind of show saws. I got that big compressor, and something I really want to get into is kind of painting. So we're going to start with the XL, or the Super XL, and I'm going to get that. I'm going to try to get some paint supplies and try my hand at some higher end painting and make that thing nice. But yeah, that was good. I'm going to post it. I probably won't make much money on it. I doubt anybody wants to spend extra money on brand new stuff for a little Craftsman. So we're going to try to put it up for 120. I don't have a case or anything, which kind of stinks too. So I'll be lucky if I can even get 80 bucks for it, which is, I'm pretty sure I bought the saw for like 20 bucks a while ago, and probably put another 30 into, so I'm about 50 in. Yeah, I guess just getting rid of it would be nice, but she runs well. So yeah, we're all done with that. Here's the carnage, this little tiny piece, but yeah, these chips look nice. Let's take a look. For both saws, look at that. Wonderful, wonderful. Very cool. And then we got these little walnut discs. I don't know. I made them pretty thin, so who knows? Maybe I'll screw around and make some coasters or something with them, or screw around with the Dremel. We'll see. But we'll save all this, and then I'll probably clean this up and post it. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. But she's done. Craftsman's done. All right, thanks guys.